West. Y'all want to hear something fascinating? Half of all 5-year-olds in America today will live to see 100 years old. So what happens when millions of people hit the century mark? Well, I talked with journalist and author William Kole about his new book, The Big 100, The New World of Super Aging. Well, William, you had a very interesting career as a journalist for the Associated Press, a not-for-profit news organization where you covered stories like Jack Kevorkian and the death of Princess Diana. So out of all your experience, I have to ask, why did you want to dive into aging for your very first book?
Yeah, well, I've kind of had a lifelong fascination with very, very old people. It began really with my own family. My grandmother lived almost to 104. She was born in 1899 and died in 2003. And then when I was based in Paris for AP, that fascination kind of became an obsession when I was able to cover the oldest person who ever lived, Jeanne Calment, who made it to 122 years and 164 days.
That's impressive. All right. So speaking of which, you actually included in your research talking to several centenarians. What did they have in common as a whole?
We all watched the Netflix documentary about the blue zones. And, we all want to know what we can do to sort of optimize our chances of living a healthy and long life. But, they certainly have in common great genetic wiring. Beyond that, they really seem to have positivity in common. And that's a really key thing because there was a study done out of Yale University that showed that being positive can actually add to our lives as much as 7.5 years, which is more than, what we do through diet, exercise, and other things. Yeah.
So let me ask you, we interviewed the gentleman involved with that documentary. Can you just describe again what blue zones are?
Sure. There are a handful of these blue zones that are located around the world. There's only one in the United States, in Loma Linda, California. And these are places where people tend to live very healthy lives deep into their 90s.
It's interesting that you mentioned Loma Linda. I've been there. I would not think, wow, this is a wonderful, beautiful, stress-free place. But it is interesting how these areas are, I don't know, they're not exactly accessible to everyone. What are some of the societal, consequences in these specific areas of people living longer?
So the thing about Loma Linda that's very interesting is that it's a base for the Seventh-day Adventist Church. They have a big presence there, and I think their headquarters is actually there. A lot of the members of the community belong to that faith, and they do a very good job of living in community. So there's not a lot of social isolation, and they do a great job of handling stress. Wow. Stress is like the enemy of longevity, and that's something else that the blue zones have in common. They just deal with it very well.
Interesting. Really quickly, writing notes, move to Loma Linda. Okay, done.
Yes.
Let's talk about the idea of maybe all of us starting to get more healthy. I know that we're living longer and longer than we did 20, 30 years ago. So what are the impacts to society as a whole when we're starting to see people live longer?
I mean, there are just multiple impacts. And honestly, our society isn't quite ready for this. So two things are happening, and the book sort of explains. But one is demographic. The baby boom generation is getting older, and it's a big generation. So the oldest of the boomers is around 77 right now. And so in the next 25 years, the fittest of those people will age into triple digits. And just that alone will push the numbers of 100-year-olds eightfold, actually. Wow. And then there's the medical side of it, where we're just treating the things that kill us better. Cancer is no longer really a death sentence in many instances.
I really like that you devote a lot of time talking about disparities, how living to 100 is not in the cards for many people of color, those on the lower end of the economic scale. What are the issues there? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so the racial and ethnic gap in longevity is really problematic. You know, the white Americans outlive Black Americans on average by about 6 years. That's a lot of life when you think about it.
Yeah.
And it feels like a gap that we really need to close, as quickly as we can. And some of that is also economic. In communities of color, people are making less money in general. They have, fewer opportunities. Rich people get more time.
And this is going to be a strange question, but knowing what you know, after writing this book, do you want to live to 100?
I think I have to now, Amity. I mean, I'm kind of on the, I kind of have to do that. And out of pure journalistic curiosity, I would say yes. But I have the same concerns everyone else does. I want my 100 years to be healthy years.
Amen to that.